Hey everybody, this is Josh Ronquist here for the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel, here for another episode of Out Today and What I Missed, this time for June 13th, 2025. This week I have another staggering 30 albums to go over, 10 that are out today, 20 that I've missed along the way, bringing this whole equation to 530 albums I will have covered this year. Since I'm covering so much, let's just get right into it. First up, we have Ashen with Chimera. The debut album from this French act really resonates with me in a way I wasn't expecting. Musically, it is hitting everything that I expect from the 2020s metalcore and modern metal sound, but lyrically, it is hitting me quite hard, and every song feels like a gut punch after another gut punch. It makes sense that they are hitting a lot of the emotions that people put up with in their everyday lives, but maybe are never really talking about out loud, like anxiety, the state of the world, personal struggles, etc. It is the way that it is performed that may not be for everybody who checks out my reviews, but if you push yourself out there, especially out of your comfort zone, and check out something that's more radio friendly, you may find something that you can also resonate with like I have after I received this promo. The production is slick and polished, and the songs go exactly where you would expect them to, into a left turn that you just don't see coming, which is a refreshing change of pace in this style. If you want to see a different take on what 2020 struggles can look like in a catchy and an earworm style of modern metal, give Ashen your proper attention. Next up, we have The Biscuit Merchant with Tempora. First off, I will start by saying that you really should check out my interview that I've done with Justin Lawnchair of The Biscuit Merchant up on the YouTube channel to learn so much more about this project and album as a whole than I can in a blurb review. That said, this is the 10th album that comes from The Biscuit Merchant, and this one really focuses on the likes of Devin Townsend, Opeth, Dream Theater, etc. But if you want it done just a little bit heavier and sometimes even a little bit catchier, this is something that you really need to give your full attention. Thankfully, with what will be a 26th album endeavor under this moniker, each album named after a letter of the alphabet, Tempora will be showing off some impressive songwriting and performance, all while finding a way to never go fully self-indulgent and wanky, which I know sounds odd on paper with 26 albums, but trust me on this one. The songs are about the songs at hand, and while they are quite technical and they hit so many different levels and subgenres, it all makes sense and are comprehensible, and it will make so much more sense once this full cycle of alpha is complete. Back all that up with incredible production value, and easily you have one of the best progressive death metal albums of 2025. While this may be an overwhelming concept to comprehend, let alone listen to, give Tempora a shot and see if it's right for you. If you like the heavier side, it's there. If you like the more melodic side, it's there. If you like the more genre-bending side, that's also there as well. And no matter what direction that you like, there's going to be an album that caters more to that style in this concept known as the Biscuit Merchant. This is how you push forward the subgenre of progressive metal. Seriously, check out The Biscuit Merchant. Now we have Byzantine with Harbingers. Byzantine is a band I've been familiar with since their debut album, and now that they are back with their 7th album, the band continues to progress their sound into much different territories. Be it a bit more industrial on songs like Stick Figure back in the day, or songs that sound like basically a pitch-perfect example of what Evergrey could sound like if they were Americanized on a song like Nadir, or something that continues their blend of progressive groove metal, which they've always had since the beginning. With Harbingers though, the band continues with the latter, with hitting something that you would expect from the band that is there in the forefront of that new wave of American heavy metal sound. You'll hear everything from Lamb of God to Meshuggah to Machine Head and even Gojira on this one. It all makes sense once they add their own blend of songwriting into the mix. With excellent production style and a wicked sense of songwriting, the band knows how to grab your attention and subvert your expectations in a way you don't even notice because it feels so natural. The band has always been an unsung hero in this style, and I'm glad over time that the band has started to get at least some of their flowers. I hope this time they will continue to do so and keep winning over fans as they always have. This is a fantastic release. Here we have Fairyland with The Story Remains. A band I simply did not expect to return due to the circumstances has come back in full force with The Story Remains. A title clearly talking about rising back up like a phoenix from the ashes. Fairyland returns with their 5th album and their first since the death of their keyboardist and original member Felipe Giordana. The band has gone through many of a big lineup change, with 3/6 of the band being brand new for the new album. But thankfully, for longtime fans of the band, the spirit of the band is as strong as ever. From its grandiose grandiose songwriting to its authentic production style, Fairyland proves that they are here to stay. The band still hits just as hard, and it is full of emotions. There has always been many downs and so many ups over the past 5 years, but it's great to see with the story remains that the ups are becoming stronger and stronger, and they're becoming one of the best shining examples of 21st century symphonic power metal. If you've never checked out the band before, or you're just happy to hear them that they're back, give this one a proper listen. Fairyland is home. That's exactly what we needed. Next, we have Fallujah with Xenotaph. Fallujah has been another band that I've been following ever since their debut album back in 2011, the same year that I started covering music. And Fallujah has been there to continuously win over people with their blend of tech death, deathcore, and progressive death metal. Over time, that deathcore occasionally shows up, the technical aspects are there in strides, but on Xenotaph, the band is really backing their progressive death metal side to full force, and I'm fully here for it. Between its clean but real production style, the songwriting has always been to me on this album, and again they're embracing that proggy side, which is my favorite of what they do, and this might be my favorite album that they've done since The Flesh Prevails back in 2014. Hearing the band embrace more clean vocals, comprehensive yet intriguing song structures, and utterly catchy moments, this is on the short track of really becoming their best album to date to everyone besides me. Seeing the praise that they have been getting from the singles so far has been incredible, but hearing the album in context is a whole other trip that you need to experience. The Faceless meets the Contortionist meets the Zenith Passage all rolled into one. If you want one of the best examples of the extreme side of progressive death metal in 2025, check out Fallujah in all their glory with Xenotaph. Next up, we have Hexvessel with Nocturne. Considering where the band came from in their post-rock and folk roots, it's shocking to me to see where the band is going with their full-on black metal at this point, while still having their earlier influences still in check. It is an odd thing to hear as much Dark Throne as I do Tangerine Dream, but this is what we have with Nocturne. The band continues to explore much of their post-rock, black metal, doom, folk, and even gothic moments, and it's an amazing thing to hear from beginning to end. The music had this raw atmosphere, but still has this grand feeling behind it all, and there's so much genre bending that makes the music feel like it's shape-shifting right in front of you. The album is meant to represent nights, and that is the perfect time to listen to this one. Put this one after the sun goes down, turn off some lights, maybe put on a candle or two, and let the music flow over you. I've done similar, and it makes for the album to be quite the trip. If you want your black metal more on the experimental side, you really need to give Hexvessel your proper attention. Next up, we have Insomnia with The Great Apocalypse. Sweden's Insomnia is back with their 6th album since 1999, and they are another shining example of quality over quantity. They always take their time to make sure that they are going to put out the best music that they possibly can, and in 2025, The Great Apocalypse is exactly what we need in power metal and just life in general. Everything you love about the genre is here on full display, and even with them hitting some tough subject matters, like this is a heavy album not just musically, the band does it in such a fun way that their styles of catchy choruses, fast and heavy riffs, and this triumphant feel that you get from the style is still there to put a smile on your face. The album is a call to action for the world, and yeah, we really need that right now. If you enjoy the likes of Halloween, Stradivarius, Vianity, and the occasional Ed Guy moment, you will love what Insomnia is all about. It's a battle cry for 2025, and let's hope that an album like this can lead us to victory. Here we have Massetti with Odds and Ends. The debut album from the solo project of Tiago Massetti is filled with pure wonder. This has everything that my teenage self in the mid-2000s would have loved in a progressive metal album. It has the full assault that Symphony X brings, especially in their early work, the odd time signature chops that you'd expect from Dream Theater, the musical heaviness that you expect from Opeth, and the occasional quirky moment of Devin Townsend brings into his solo material. Add all that together, and you have an album that feels like an album made for my 2005 self. Add other herbs and spices to the mix to make everything feel pure and authentic, and you have an incredible display of what can be done with more of the traditional side of progressive metal. The production style hits right at home for the style, and the songwriting, while familiar, feels brand new as well, and it makes for a fun album experience all the way through. If you miss the days of prog metal in the early 21st century, more than just the downtuned jet D guitars, the brutal breakdowns, and you just want that metal side of prog to be in check, Massetti is doing that in strides, and I couldn't recommend it more. Give this one a proper listen and be prepared to love what you hear. Here we have Nightbearer with Defiance. The third album from this German band combines the best of old school death metal and death metal rolled into one glorious package. While the music is predominantly the OSDM sound that everyone who loves the past from bands like Dismember, Entombed, Grave, etc., the band incorporates these absolutely gorgeous melodeath moments as well in just the right spots to tie everything together in the best of ways. The production does have that HM2 pedal worship that you know and love, but they also have this melodic atmosphere to it all, and you just don't get that from this side of death metal, and it feels so rewarding to listen to time and time again. The songwriting balances everything together like a fine line that makes everything shine. This is what I wish more bands in the OSDM style would accomplish. While I do love the sound so very much, you have to do something that differentiate yourself from the pack, and that's exactly what Nightbearer brings to the table once again. If you want a refreshing take on two legendary genres combined together to create something that stands out among the best in 2025, Nightbearer is exactly what you need. And finally, for brand new albums out today, we have Paleskin with Euphoric End. The sophomore album for the Swedish outfit feels like a gut punch to your emotions. The band combines so many different influences and styles into one particular style that doesn't feel contrived or a hodgepodge of sound, and it feels all natural. And at the same time, it still messes with your senses. It is not often that you hear a band that sounds as much like Catatonia as it does Deftones, as it does Loath, and I dare even say Death Heaven at times, although not really so much in the black metal screams. Mix all that together with a crystal clear production style and songwriting that knows when to shift and when to hold onto a riff, and you have a band that feels like anyone who enjoys the style of 90s alternative all the way through post-black and everything in between can find something to love. The lyrics and atmosphere on this one is off the charts, and you can hear and you can feel how hard it hits when you let it. While it may not be the cheeriest album that you hear all year, it is quite the cathartic trip, and in 2025, I think everyone could benefit from that. If this sounds intriguing to you at all, I highly recommend giving this one a proper spin and see what they can do for you. It's possible you might be completely won over. And now for all the albums that I missed along the way, starting with Absent Colors with Withered. This goes to show you how far behind I am on some albums, and this huge catalog that I have backed up that I've been trying to whittle down. This came out all the way back in January, and I'm just getting to this one now. That is no indication on the quality of music, as the debut album from this North Carolina band has some serious songwriting skills, and they have put out a killer release. The band hits all of the high points of that modern metalcore sound that can hit while so many heavy moments of the past as well. There is electronic moments of the sound, there's the occasional clean vocals that make the music even catchier, harsh vocals that really remind me especially of the self-titled album from Bury Your Dead. If that sounds familiar, yeah, you should check this one out. And the right mix of lighter, heavier, and genre bending to make for an album experience that any metalcore fan can find something to love. The production is polished, but it still has some authenticity behind it, and especially on the darker side of metalcore, this band knows how to tug at the heartstrings. If this is your bag, give Absent Colors a shot and see if they do it for you as well. It's well worth your time, and it shows what metalcore is capable of in 2025. Now we have Chronosynthesis with Echoes of Forlorn Tales. The debut album from this Italian band hits everything that I love about symphonic power metal, from the fast and heavy riffs to the keyboard wizardry to the soaring vocals of Moreno Sagermano, who also sings in the band Ghost on Mars, who I covered last year, and they put out one of the best prog metal albums of 2024. Seeing what this band reaches when it comes to their influences in this particular style, while putting their own spin to it all, is a rewarding thing to hear, and it makes the album more than worth checking out from beginning to end. Everything that you love about the style is here, and it's done authentically. If you enjoy the likes of Stradivarius, Versailles, and Rhapsody, you need to check out what Chronosynthesis is all about. I think you'll be very happy with what you discover. Here we have Degenerate with Rituals of Rage. Now this is how you regenerate some life in a thrash metal. This album is a beast from beginning to end and only lets up enough to show you some melodic passages before pummeling you back into the ground. The production on this one is one of the best I've heard in thrash in 2025, and it sounds massive. The songwriting on hand is incredibly brutal, but again, the right amount of melodic moments and other genre-bending moments. I even hear some black metal on this one at times. It's such a rewarding thing to hear. Imagine a grand mix of Warbringer, Sodom, Creator, and Toxic Holocaust, and without a shadow of a doubt, you have one of the best thrash metal albums of 2025. I simply can't do anything to sell it better than that. If you love thrash, pick this one up right now. Next up, we have Dorcas with Raised from the Dead. The debut album from this Mexican powerhouse is not at all what I would have expected, but that makes it even more of a treasure to find. What feels like a grand mix of Children of Bodom, Arch Enemy, and even a band like Lutharo. It's all rolled up into one big package that couldn't sound better. The songs are so catchy and hit riffs that feel so familiar but truly stand on their own. They also nailed it when it goes into the extreme end of things, when it goes into the more mellow death or mellow black side, and when to go into more gorgeous clean vocals that shine in the highest of ways. The production is quite clear and punchy, though I imagine that this will only get stronger with every subsequent release. And again, that songwriting is the winning formula, combining all of the right styles done at the right times. Dorcas is far away from being a major player in metal realm. If all the stars align, they're going to be so huge. Check them out if you think you'll find something to enjoy here, and prepare to be blown away. This is a band that has the sound to create something new for the world. Here we have Eden's Apple with Primordial Roots. The debut album from this Portuguese band is an unexpected delight, hitting moments of symphonic metal, alternative metal, and the occasional melodeath moments, making for a formula that feels so catchy yet unexpected, especially on that first time listen. The fact that they can go from the likes of Lacuna Coil to Tristania to the unexpected Wolfheart moments that just adds so much to the music is an incredible thing to hear. The production is exactly what it needs to be effective, songwriting style makes you pay attention from start to finish, and the overall vibe of the album is intriguing and compelling. This is some awesome work from a band that I know is going to get stronger and stronger from here on out. I can't wait to see what this band does next. Next up, we have Hate Within with Tomb of the Tormentor. Symphonic deathcore has really been popping off over the last several years, and it makes me happy to see. The genre builds on the layers that can be added to deathcore to make the genre simply more by nature, and it adds so much to the character of it all by adding these symphonic and symphonic adjacent genres into the mix. That's exactly what Hate Within does with their debut album. A band comprising of bands from Finland, the UK, the US. The band takes the best and most brutal moments of deathcore and makes everything feel so much more sophisticated and grand. The breakdowns, the pig squeals, the start-stop riffs are here, but they feel much more like seasoning rather than the main course. The symphonics behind it all is what sells the band, and it makes for such a musical journey to explore. Adding guest appearances from Veronica from Flesh God Apocalypse, and one of my favorite guitarists, Angel Vivaldi, and you have an album that is so much more than just the deathcore label. In fact, there's a completely orchestral version of this album that goes along with it if you check it out on streaming sites. If you really want to get rid of the deathcore and metal elements out of this experience and just want a grand, heavy orchestral feeling, having both sides of this band adds to the overall experience, and overall, the symphonic deathcore shows that it's continuing to grow and grow, and it deserves to do so. Hate Within is doing some magnificent work, and if you are intrigued at all by what this could sound like, go check it out. Next up, we have Hellfox with The Spectrum of Human Gravity. The sophomore album from this Italian band is a phenomenal experience that just keeps getting better and better on every listen. Combining the best of Finnish goth and Scandinavian melodeath rolled into their own unique blend creates an album that rewards you the more that you listen to it. The band never goes into full-on hyperdrive as far as speed, but it also doesn't need to. They just find the sweet spot of slower to mid-tempo that just satisfies the style in the best of ways. You mix all of this with a perfect production style for the music and songwriting that feels grand despite the fact that the music is just guitars, bass, drums, and vocals, and you have an album that is more than worthy of your attention if you dig the likes of Dark Tranquillity, Arch Enemy, and above all, the gothic era of Amorphous. If you like the idea of that, you should give this one a proper spin and be prepared to love what you're about to hear. Next up, we have In the Kingdom of Nightmares with Fading Light. The sophomore album from this metalcore band from Maine comes 15 years after their debut album. A lot has changed in the past decade and a half for both the band, the style of music, and the world in general. Seeing the band blend styles of metalcore and melodeath so seamlessly is so satisfying to hear if you enjoy the likes of Killswitch Engage, In Flames, Soilwork, and Unearth roll into one. The biggest upgrade to the band in that time is easily the production value. While the debut is a fun listen, it's rough listen compared to what they have become here. Add in also 2 new members of the band on guitar and bass duties, and you have a band that feels rejuvenated and ready to take over that New England metalcore scene. Seriously, if you love that second wave metalcore sound from the early to mid 2000s, this is required listening, and you'll be so glad that you took the chance on them. It's awesome to hear this sound with such authenticity in 2025. Maybe you can breathe new life into the genre, which deserves to shine once again. Here we have Lift the Curse with Don't Bury the Dream. The Texas duo that takes the catchiest moments of 21st century hard rock and melodeath rolled into one mainstream package is a shocking thing to see, but it couldn't have turned out better. To some, this may feel like sacrilege, but that may be why I like it so much. It's such a glorious mix of bands like Soilwork, Trivium, Breaking Benjamin, In Flames, and even Bless the Fall. The fact that this is not on modern hard rock radio right now, at least where I live, feels like heresy, and that needs to change. The music is predominantly sung with clean vocals with just the slightest amount of screams for heightened experiences in the heaviest sections. I know this will scare some people off that check out my reviews, and those who just want that more pure metal aesthetic, but if you give this band a chance, I think you might find something you really appreciate. I was instantly won over, and I love how they blend these influences into a band I could see playing arenas one day. Hey, people laughed at me back in 2011 when I said Ghost was going to play arenas one day, and well, look at them now. This is what should be leading the charge in mainstream rock and metal, and one day I hope they will. This is a killer album. Next up, we have Miss Kaplan with Heavy Eternal Ache. The debut album for this outfit out of Istanbul took me by complete shock, and they have the substance to stick around after that initial shock. A band combines this alternative, rock, and metal feel in the best of ways to create a sound that I wish more bands would strive to achieve when they make music like this. The production is so full and punchy, and the songwriting takes you in these unexpected twists and turns, but it never loses its catchiness. To make a comparison that feels off, but also feels kinda true, this is what I wish Hailstorm would sound like. A band that embraces more of the mainstream sounds but never loses the metal aspects and has some real power and tenacity in that music, especially in the vocal delivery. Add all of that together and you have an album that could win over anyone who enjoys the catchier ends of mainstream music from the 90s and beyond, but done with such a heavy twist to make you grin and headbang. I love what's going on here, and if you're interested at all in this sound, you really should check this one out. Here we have Our Frankenstein with Magnum Spiral Hotel. The third album from the Southern California band is such an intriguing mix of genres that instantly grab my attention. It's a mix of goth rock, industrial, post-punk, and other elements to create a sound that feels like the spirit of 80s goth for the 2020s, and I'm all here for it. The production is quite real, and for its style, it's not overly polished. The songwriting hits on so many styles, while still feeling like everything is meant to be there. That's no easy feat to achieve, but they pull it off. It's almost as if they Frankenstein the no, sorry for the pun. Bad pun is bad. But you get the idea. If you dig the likes of Typo Negative, Host, KMFDM, I think you'll find something to love about Our Frankenstein. Sometimes you just want to have this dark atmosphere that feels danceable and can be played at a Blade-style vampire club. This more than fits that bill. Up now, we have Passengers in Public with Amnesia. The sophomore album from this Greek band hits a style of folk metal that I wish more bands would explore. It hits that style of Greek folk metal that feels sophisticated and rich while adding these moments of progressive metal and gothic metal that may sound strange on paper, but once you hear it achieved, you completely understand what they're going for. I've been having a hard time trying to compare them to any other bands, but the closest I could come up with is Villagers of Ionia City, and that is a great comparison to me. Otherwise, they just have this sound that feels authentically like themselves, and that is a refreshing thing to hear. The production is so punchy and it hits hard, and the songwriting is off the charts for what they're trying to create. If you want to take a walk down a different path, you should give Passengers in Public a proper listen, as they are creating something original, and it may just be for you. Next up is Phase Transition with In Search of Being. The debut album from this Portuguese band feels like a blend of bands that helped shape my musical obsessions in my formative years, and adding just enough modern and left-of-center moments to make it a refreshing change of pace. Mixing a sound that feels like Opeth, Niavlascaris, Tesseract, and Dream Theater, and it feels incredible to comprehend everything that's going on with that sound. The production hits so hard, and the songwriting, no matter the song length, feels like they've left nothing out and they put their whole heart and soul into this entity. This is what progressive metal in 2025 should be, or at least strive for, and I'm so happy that there is a band like this that are pushing the boundaries of this style of progressive metal. If you are in need of heavy but melodic progressive metal, I can't recommend Phase Transition enough. Give them your time and attention, and you'll be so glad that you did. Next up, we have Power Surge with Shadow Warning. The debut album from this international band consisting of members from Croatia, Serbia, and the UK is just a sensational display of throwing back to that 80s heavy metal scene, but done through a 2020s flair with it all. Especially if you love Armored Saints, you will love what's going on with this one, but you'll also hear the likes of early day Dokken with the occasional Queensryche riff for good measure. Add a production style that couldn't be more appropriate, and songwriting that hits harder and harder the more that you listen to it, and you have a revival metal album that is is more than worthy of your time. This is how you take that classic sound and make it new once again. I can't sell it much better than that. If you dig 80s metal, especially of the Armored Saint variety, give this one your full attention. Now we have Prost with Believe Again, another debut album from an international band here consisting of members from France, Sweden, and Greece, creating a classic AOR sound and melodic rock that we all know and love. You can hear the authenticity throughout this entire album, and it hits hard with its riffs, the vocal delivery, and the overall vibe of this style that just works every time it's done authentically. Mix that with a production style that hits so nice and punchy without ever losing its highs, and you have a heavy hitter for an AOR album that just sinks into you and gives you everything that they got. 2025 has been a substantial year for the genre, and it makes me so happy to see that there is another album in the style that is doing some incredible music for that style, and I just love that era of AOR melodic rock. Just completely solid from start to finish. For anyone who loves this style, seriously, go check this one out. Now we have Snooze with I Know How You Will Die, a Chicago band that describes themselves as Meshuggah in major, and that feels completely apt, while still being able to explore so many other avenues to go along with that. It's strange to hear moments of the Dillinger Escape Plan, Muse, Hella, Meshuggah, and Devin Townsend all rolled into one jaw-dropping package. I can see this album going over a lot of people's heads, and they're not gonna dig this one, but I also see this being for a particular subset of an audience that loves a band that will push the boundaries of what prog, math rock, metal, and just exploring what a major scale in metal can be. You may not get this on the first listen, but if you keep listening to it, it will unlock for you the more that you give it a chance, and you'll be so happy that you took the chance. It hits so hard emotionally, musically, and explores territories of music that you just don't see coming. I can't recommend this for everybody, but if you love to take a plunge on something that sounds like this, something that is very left of center, you will be greatly rewarded. This is how you push the metal music genre forward. Next up, we have Sombre Tour with To Any World Beyond the Tomb. Now it's time to sit down, put this one on, and have a cathartic existential cry. The debut album from this one-man, French melodic death doom band hits everything that I love about the genre in a way that will rip your whole heart and soul apart. The production is raw, but it's done in a style that just fits, and the songwriting that knows when to get heavy and when to get more melodic and dreadful in the best way possible. This is easily for those that are looking for something in the vein of November's Doom, Bellacore, Insomnium, and especially early day Catatonia. If this sounds like something for you, it absolutely is for you. I love this genre so very, very much, and having an album like this in 2025 so early in the year just makes me so very happy. This one hits hard, so get ready for some emotional impact. Next up, we have Titan Killer with Slow Self-Destruction. With an album title and a band name like that, you're expecting some funeral doom here, right? But this is anything but, though it does come from a lot of the same sadness that you'd get from that particular genre. The sophomore album from this Austrian heavy metal band and power metal band hits you hard with a strong musical force. It is also an album of pure self-reflection. It's not that often that you hear an album like this that doesn't just go all guns blazing on the guitar riffs and the double bass. Of course, those moments are still there in pieces, but this is so much more of an album about the current state of the world and the life that we live. It's a very matured album that is for those of a particular subset of an audience, but I also know that the vocal delivery will not be for everybody and can be an acquired taste, but I think if you can fit in these particular molds, I think this will perfectly fit what you're looking for. Add all of this together and you have an album that could stand the test of time and maybe even leave a good message for the rest of us to learn one day. I thoroughly enjoy this one, and if you want a mix of Enforcer, Latter-day Skullfist, and the occasional Maiden nod, you should give this one your full attention. Next up, we have Waltari with Nation's Neurosis. It's been a while since I've checked out Waltari. In fact, about 10 years. But I'm so glad that I've rediscovered this band and all of its quirky moments, left of center moments, and an entirely catchy sound that I've loved. Faith No More meets Freak Kitchen meets Devin Townsend all mixed together with this Finnish sensation, and you have one of the most creative and catchy bands that have been going for decades upon decades now. Despite this being the 16th album since 1991, the band is so far from running out of steam. They always find a new way to reinvent themselves, and going back to albums that I've missed along the way since 2015, I remembered that, and seeing them do this once again in 2025 just makes me smile. The production feels like the 90s in the best way possible, and the songwriting, again, it's off the wall, it's bonkers, it's wacky, but it's still catchy at the same time. This is how creativity can work to your advantage, and never be afraid to let that freak flag fly. If you need something like this, then you need Waltari. I can't imagine you'd be disappointed if this style is your bag. And finally, for brand new albums that I'm checking out this week, it is Zigzags with Deadbeat at Dawn. The fifth album from this LA band hits a niche that I needed right now. A mix of punk rock and speed metal done in a way that just feels like that late 70s through late 80s ragers in the best of ways. The production feels like a Motorhead album, the songwriting can go all over in tempo from song to song while still feeling appropriate and catching those classic genre moments to perfection. Imagine early day Metallica, Plasmatics, Motorhead, and Municipal Waste all thrown together, and you'll have a good idea of what's going on with this band, and it works so very well. 10 songs, 33 minutes and change, just a full-on punk and metal party from beginning to end. If you want that in 2025, you need to hear what Zigzags is all about. Make sure that you got your battle vest dusted off and ready to be covered in beer and fire burns, because this is what this one is capable of, and it's quite electric. And there you go, folks, another 30 albums down for Out Today and What I Missed, this time for June 13th, 2025. So what'd you think? Did I miss some good albums? Did I get some good albums? Anything that you're going to be checking out? Anything that you're going to be staying clear of? What else should I be covering? Please let me know all of that and more down below. And of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And we'll return next week for Out Today and What I Missed for June 20th, 2025. I plan on doing another 30 for that week, and the last week of June, I will be covering a staggering, monumental 40 albums. And then, if I do things right, I will have covered 600 albums in 2025 in the first half of 2025. Until then, for the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel, this is Josh Runquist saying, embrace the skillet.